Project for the Web is a new application that's built on the Power Platform. And those of you who are not familiar with the Power Platform may be familiar with its components, Power BI, Microsoft Flow, and Power Apps. So it's a very powerful platform. And when the data from Project for the Web goes into that platform, you can envision of the things that you can do with it with the other three components of that platform. If I'm in Microsoft Office 365, what I'm going to do is just select Project here. And that's going to pull up the Project Home. For those of you who are used to using Project Home for your PWA projects, you'll notice that there's going to be a new entry here for blank project. And that's going to launch something for Project for the Web. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click that button. And I'm off and running. I've already created a project schedule and it's going to load on the screen and I'm going to give it a name. It's now called Untitled Project, and I'm just going to head ahead and click on that, and I can call it whatever I want. So I'm going to call it Webinar Demo Project. I'm the project manager, and I have a start date. I'm going to push that start date out a little bit to Monday. And I'm off and running. I can get started real easily and quickly using Project for the Web. I can add new tasks. For example, initiation, planning, execution, quality assurance, and closure. Whatever tasks you want to add, you just go ahead and type them in really quickly. I'm already building a project plan. Now, with the power of Microsoft Project for the Web is that I can extend this to others in a group. So group management, for example. So if I'm over here, I can X out of that, and then I see something called group members. I can create a new group or I can add it to an existing group. And when I do that, I can share my project plan with others with a click of a button. So if I added this to an existing group, I can select that internal group to my company, and I'm going to call it Innovative E Project Demo Group. I'm going to go ahead and add this project plan to that group. Now others in my group can see my plan, and I can see my group members right here. Now I can assign tasks to others in my group. So I can go ahead and assign this task to myself, but I can go ahead and assign this task to Owen, and so on and so forth. I can set the duration of my task really easily here. 1 day. I can set this one to 2 days, this one to 3 days, this one to 1 day, etc. I'm also able to add certain other columns. So this was one of the most requested things in Planner, is adding other columns that I might want to see on a typical project grid, sometimes referred to as a work breakdown structure. So I can add % complete. I can go ahead and add dependents before and depends on after. So I'm going to go ahead and depends on, and I'm going to go ahead and add a start date and a finish date. Notice that I'm starting to build a project schedule out, and it looks and feels like a project schedule, but it was just a whole lot easier to do than it was before. So if I want to set my dependencies, I can set, for example, number 3 on number 2. And I can set number 4 on number 3. If I want to create a subtask, I can make something a subtask of something else. So there's an ellipse button here, and I can make planning a subtask of initiation. Notice how it took away the assign to because summary tasks don't get direct assignments. I'm going to go ahead and reassign myself to execution. Now, what's cool about the new Project for the Web is not only how easy it is to use, but it's basically how well you can visualize it in other ways. So if I have a task board, for example, I have one click and I get to the task board. If I want to see things that way, I can go ahead and add things to the board and move them from not started to in progress. That makes it 50% done. If I want to move something to completed, I go ahead and do that visually as well. Now you can see how basically a team could interact with this in real time, because all the members of the team in this group have the ability to go into this project schedule and make changes. Co-authoring. So if somebody else were to go into here and make a change to the grid, I would see that in real time. If I go into the timeline area here, notice that my dependencies are showing visually. What I can also do is I can move things out with a click and a drag. So notice how easy it is to get things done with Project for the Web and make changes to my project schedule. Now, I can also create new dependency relationships using this feature. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to the grid. I'm going to assign a duration of closure. Now it has a date associated with it. I'm going to flip back to the timeline. Notice how that is basically happening before quality assurance. And now I'm going to create a relationship that's going to create a predecessor relationship there. It's very simple to do. Click and drag, and you're off and running. I can zoom in and zoom out of my Gantt accordingly. And basically, that's it, folks. Real simple, real easy to use. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip back over. Yes, sir.
I think we have a quick question. Somebody wanted to know how many levels of subtasks can be added in project. I think the answer is 1 right now.
Levels. Hi, everybody. Excuse me. It's Owen Callan. The level of subtasks is you can go up to 10 deep.
Oh, you can go 10? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I've got 3 here.
Yeah, there you go.
You can go up to 10. Thanks, Owen.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Owen.
Now I'm going to show you a completely baked out schedule using this, but instead of showing it to you natively in Office 365, I'm going to show it to you within the context of Microsoft Teams, because most of you might use it that way. And so I have a team called Innovative E Project Demo that's connected to the same group that I was in before. And what I have here is I have conversations that are going on with that team. In that channel, I have files that I'm working on. I have other apps in here like a wiki, but I also have something called Project Plan. So I included an app in here in a tab that pulls in Project for the Web and my completely baked out schedule. And so what you can see here is I have other folks assigned to these tasks. I have a larger project schedule with a lot of things in it. What I can do inside Teams is I can expand this out a little bit so that I'm using full screen with the full capability of Project for the Web available inside Microsoft Teams. I have my board view, I have my timeline, and I can go ahead and I can add things and make changes to this project plan in real time, and other people will be able to see them as well. And what I haven't done here is I haven't really hooked up these tasks to be dependent on one another. So I'm going to go in my timeline. I'm going to sort over here to where these tasks are located. And I'm going to draw a parallel between the first tasks and the second. Notice how I'm still able to click and drag that across and make that connection. And it made the connection. And so now those tasks are associated with one another as dependencies. So if I go back in the grid, another way to do it would be to scroll over to my depends on field. And it actually provides me suggestions for what it should depend on. So I'm going to make it go depend on management view. And I'm going to have this one depend on create business case. And this one is going to depend on schedule status meetings. So I'm building out my schedule, and I'm doing that entirely within Teams. One other way you might want to use Modern Project interface here for Project for the Web is to do some sprint planning in your business. Now, some of you may be doing agile activities or agile work, and that's probably better suited for a dev tool if it's for development purposes. But if you're doing business agile or portions of a project schedule that are not really dev related, then Project for the Web can be a really good boost for you guys. So if I sort this by bucket, notice I can create whatever buckets I want and name them accordingly. So by naming them for sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3, I'm able to actually sort my tasks, move them into various sprints, and complete those tasks right here in a sprint board. Notice it plays a nice little sound when I complete something. It's very satisfactory, very satisfying. So you can add the buckets here. You can do some real simple sprint planning, add things from the backlog over to your respective sprints. And the way I simply set that up was with these buckets within the board view of Project for the Web. And so what we have here is basically a complete demonstration of Project for the Web. We hope you'll enjoy it. We think you will. I've got a couple of other things I wanted to cover. Were there any other questions that were voiced there, Mike?
Yeah, Brian, there was a question whether or not you could give, if there's an option to give group members view-only access.
Not at this time. So that's a good point. I think everybody who's in the group would have access to the plan entirely. So that's a good feedback mechanism there, and we'll make sure that gets to the right place. But another way that you can provide feedback directly when you get Project for the Web in your organization is to click the feedback button and say, I have a suggestion, and it sends you to the user voice for project. And I've already been putting some things in there myself, and I know they listen because they respond to it very quickly. And we know they listen as evidenced by the fact that they created this entire application with feedback from Planner.
Right. Hey, we've got a couple other questions here. So the next one is it possible to see multiple projects at a time?
That's a really good question. And let me show you a couple of other ways that we can do that. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to my regular view here in Teams. And remember when we said that you can extend this out to other applications and that PPM is the platform. So very important to recognize that. What I've done here is I've created a portfolio dashboard. And that portfolio dashboard is connected to all of the data from all the respective projects that are going into Project for the Web. And so what I have here, I'll go through this. This is an out-of-the-box dashboard provided by Microsoft. And you can load it into your solution and make that available as another tab in Teams. And so what I have here is all of these projects that I've been working on in Project for the Web, including the one I just demonstrated. There's 21 in total. And it basically summarizes all of the different statistics associated with those projects. So I can look at them side by side. I have start finish dates, progress. I have task count, overdue tasks. Really every way that you'd like to see this. And you can filter it by projects that are not in progress or not started or not started. You can filter it by project manager. There's a portfolio timeline view, and that allows you to see like a Gantt chart view of all of your different projects in one place with actuals against the planned work. You have portfolio milestones, which are not populated in my particular report because I haven't marked any as such, but I believe it uses zero duration tasks to consider what a milestone is.
Yep,
and then,
I think that's right.
Yeah, and portfolio status report. This is something actually we created at Innovative E, which is a simple project status report page. I'd be happy to talk to you about that and look at how we can maybe customize that for your company. And then we have resource dashboard. So if you want to take a look at resources, remember I'm assigning work to people, so then I can tell how much work they have assigned to them, what progress they've made at that work, what projects they're assigned work on. So simple resource management becomes possible. And see all of our assignments across the board here to tell what people are working on. You know, a lot of folks talk to us about resource management, capacity planning, and so forth, and that can be pretty complex. But at a very basic level, if you guys just want to find out who's working on what and how long it's going to take, that can be done very easily with Project for the Web. You can look at task overview. What are the tasks that are going on? What projects are they part of? Are they late? Project timeline. So very powerful reporting coming out right here in this out-of-the-box Power BI dashboard for Project for the Web. And I think the best way to visualize that, of course, you could go over to Power BI and load it up, but the best way to visualize that would be right here in the scenario that I've created in Microsoft Teams.